19時になりましたので、採用説明会を開始したい
It
と
is 7 o'clock. Good evening. We are going to start Job Opportunities Program for Cloud Platform Engineers at Line. Thank you for joining this event. I'm Tanabe. I am going to be the MC for this event. Today, we are going to be providing interpretation service. You will get to listen this workshop either in English or Japanese. You should find an interpretation button on your Zoom bar, so you choose the language of your choice. Regarding today's event, we are soliciting questions from you using Zoom's Q&A functions. You can post questions whenever you come up with them, and we will try to have a Q&A session at the end of this event and then try to answer as many questions as possible. And if you want to send your question unanimously, click Send Unanimously. Now, this is today's agenda. As you have seen on Compass, I am going to introduce Line's corporate overview, and then we are going to have presentation by our engineers, and at the end, we are going to bring back all the speakers, and then we will have a Q&A. We will try to finish this event at 9:10, but please note that there might be some changes to the schedule. So without further ado, let me introduce Line's company, work environment, as well as the fringe benefit. Now, talking about Line overview, our corporate mission is closing the distance. It is about bringing people, information, and services closer together. We will try to make the services as user-friendly as possible. Now, we provide messaging app called Line. Regarding our monthly active users, we have about 92 million in Japan, but we do have many users in Thailand, Taiwan, Indonesia. In total, we have 176 million MAUs. Now, let me talk about Line's growth strategies shortly. We do provide quite a lot of services, but each service is positioned as either core businesses or strategic services. It is a strength that we do provide quite a lot of services. Just to introduce some of the categories that we do provide services, we have communication, ad, AI, healthcare, content, fintech, and commerce local. Due to time constraints, I am not going to deep dive on each category. But I have mentioned that we position the services as either core business or strategic business. Our approach is to make revenue off of core business and then redeploy the revenue onto strategic businesses to expand business further. Now let's talk about Line's employees count. In total, we have 2,900 employees, out of which we have 900 technical jobs. So when we look at the breakdown of 900 engineers regarding the average age, it is 35.2 years old. So we have 25.9% of the employees in their 20s, 45.3% in their 30s, 27.1% in their 40s. Regarding the number of nationalities of employees enrolled, we have 32 countries. And then regarding the proportion of foreign nationals, it is over 30%. Now let's talk about work environment and benefit. First, let's take a look at a work style. If you are an engineer, you will be allowed to work on what's called a discretionary labor work system, meaning that you get to decide what time you start and end your work, which makes it easy for you to achieve work-life balance. Obviously, teamwork is very important, so you have to get buy-ins from your team members when it comes to scheduling. Starting last year, we have implemented line hybrid working style. What it means is that we don't require employees to come to the office. In details, we allow each team to come up with work roles. Regarding the office attendance rate for engineers, it is about 13%. Now, today we are going to be talking about cloud platform engineer positions, and most of them do work remotely. As long as you are in Japan, you get to work anywhere. We do provide quite a lot of benefits, and for details, please refer to our corporate website. But I am going to highlight some of the interesting benefits. So the top three are the line services, and we provide them as part of the fringe benefits to our employees. We encourage our employees to use our own services so that we can continue to iterate and then improve our services. Now, number one is line pay. In addition to the salary, you will receive a payment onto your line pay account. All the employees are eligible for it. Number two, line mode cost support. We provide what's called a line mode. We will reimburse the cost of this mobile plan per line, just one line. Number three, line store points. We do provide a point where the employees can redeem to purchase stickers and manga and music, and then we do provide 24,000 yen worth of points to all the employees. Regarding the bottom four, this is provided to improve employees' education as well as the capabilities. Number one, we do provide full access to technical documents. Number two, we do provide language courses in English, Japanese, and Korean. Number six, we do provide a conference participation support. So if you're going to be attending a conference either in Japan or outside of Japan, the company is going to reimburse the participation as well as transportation cost. Number seven, in-house job opportunity system. This is to encourage our employees to improve their skills, advance their career as well. Now, before I close, I want to show you some of the photos of the line office. At the left top, it is an office space. Each cubicle does have a monitor, and then you can actually adjust the height of the chair. And then chairs are Odessa or Contessa, very, very ergonomically designed. And this is unassigned, so you get to pick and choose where to sit as long as you are within the team's area. And some of the snapshots as well. Some employees actually come to this office and then take a photo with this big brown. And the bottom left photo shows this big window, and then when the weather is perfect, you get to see Mount Fuji. We do provide a massage service as well as we do have a daycare facility as well. So with this, I am going to close my section. Now, from this point on, we are going to be introducing some of the team's positions. First, we are going to welcome Ichihara-san, and he's going to talk about Verda office and then Verda network development team. Ichihara-san, go ahead. Thank you for your introduction. Let me share my screen. I am going to talk about LINE's overall infrastructure system. Let me introduce myself. I joined LINE Corporation back in 2018 as a software engineer. Last July, I was promoted to become an engineering manager. and I have been leading a network development team. Looking at line services, as you know, we provide so many services on our platform. These services are managed on top of Line's infrastructure and then running, obviously, on Line's infrastructure. Now, looking at the overall Line infrastructure organization, and this is how it's laid out. We have an IT service center, and this is a Japanese infrastructure team. In addition to it, we do have an IT service organization in Korea, and most of the team members are working on cloud, but in total, we have 192 members working on Line's infrastructure. So it's quite big. Within IT Service Center, there are 4 major organizations. One is my department, Verda platform, which is Line's private cloud. And we do have a team that takes care of the entire Line's network, office network, as well as a data center, internet. And this is managed by network department team. And there's a team that takes care of servers and kernels that are running on the servers, as well as the tools. That is system department. And we do have a database team that takes care of all the Line databases. So they are within IT Service Center. Now, regarding the configuration of Line infrastructure equipment, here are some of the information that I can share with you. In basic, it is multi-region, and then it is a multi-AZ availability zone. So mainly it is operated in Tokyo and in Osaka. In Tokyo, we do have 3 availability zones as a multi-AZ. As for the number of network devices, we have over 10,000 devices, and we have over 3,700 racks. And we do have many plans to expand the number of regions, so infrastructure organization will continue to scale. Next, I'm going to talk about a very unique feature related to Line's traffic. When do you think people use Line the most? It's New Year event. Maybe you haven't done it, but when the New Year comes around, you want to send a message using Line to your family and friends saying Happy New Year, or maybe send stickers. And we do have a spike of traffic during New Year's. So New Year event is something that we have to prep 3 months in advance. And the chart that you see is the one of the clusters that load balancer is managing. So compared to pre-New Year, but from the moment we have a New Year, the traffic actually goes up 2x. So that was about IT service centers overview. Now, I like to talk about Line's private cloud called Verda. So what is Verda? We named our private cloud platform called Verda. So that's what it is. And on top of Verda, most of the Line services are hosted and being run And we do have two major Verda clusters. One is for production environment, and the other one is for developers, and we call it Verda Dev. Regarding the scale of Verda, I'd like to touch upon a few things. In total, we do have over 70,000 physical servers at line, and when you look at the user traffic, including CDN, we have over 3 tera traffic. But regarding the servers that Verda takes care of, we have over 45,000 bare metal servers, and we have 7,600 hypervisors, and then we will have 100,000 VMs. I mean, we're very close to 100,000. Right now, it's around 99,000 VMs, but the number of VM machines just continues to go up. Now, what type of services do we provide on Verda? When you look at public cloud, I think most of the services that are hosted on public cloud are what we do. I mean, obviously, compared to public cloud, we don't provide as much, but we make sure to provide all the features on Verda so that our developers can develop the services and products. One of the examples that I wanted to show you is Verda's dashboard. So on Verda's dashboard, as a compute resource, you can choose a server, or as a container resource, you can choose BKS or Kubernetes cluster. Or we do have a network and database, and then we do have a storage. So we display these menus as if this is a public cloud and then make it available to line developers. Here's a list of the services that we provide. Looking at the ES layers, this is an OpenStack logo, but OpenStack is the basis when it comes to lines IaaS. Bare metal servers are used, load balancers are used, and NAT as a service as well as a Ceph are being used as part of IaaS. We develop and provide them. On top of IaaS, managed service is being run, DBK, Kubernetes, provided, and on top of it, there is a PaaS layer, and then we do have a Kubernetes as a service, and then we do provide CI/CD. So we just provide quite a lot of services on Verda. Now, in order to build Verda, there's so many teams that are actually working in collaborations. I'm not going to go into details, but for example, Platform I team, this is an ES team that is working on OpenStack, and we're going to have a presentation on that. And then we have a Platform K team. This team is dedicated to the Kubernetes, and then network development team. That's where I belong. And then we do have a Verda reliability engineering team. They are in charge of reliability on Verda. So as you can see, there are so many teams that are working together to run Verda. In total, we have 85 engineers working on Verda. Now, looking at the Verda, we have many non-Japanese engineers working. So official languages actually differ based on the team. Platform K is official language, English. My team does support Japanese and English, but in basic, we do use English when we have meetings. And on the Korean side, there are so many teams that only speak Korean, but they have no issues when it comes to communications because all the documents are in English. And if they need to speak in a different language, they can get in touch with the interpretation team and get some help from the interpreter. Let's take a look at some of the Verda's technical stack. We have so many more tech stacks actually for Verda. Now, before I close, let me talk about why we are running private cloud instead of public cloud. Well, let me explain that. We want to work together with an application developer, and then we want to provide infrastructure resources to application developer. And then having a private cloud allows us to do that in a much faster way. For example, if you were to do the same thing using a private cloud, the speed of collaboration is going to go down. And then if application developer has an issue with the infrastructure, they can come to us directly, and then we can try to make an iteration on our private cloud. And then this is not going to work with the public cloud. So that was about Verda. Now, let me talk about network development team. We call it NetDev, and I am actually managing this team, by the way. Where is NetDev team positioned? So there is a line corporation, and then we do have IT service center, and then within it there is a Verda, and within Verda we are part of the team. So within Verda we work on SDN design and network function service. So looking at this dashboard, this is where we provide services. And aside from CDN, DNS, load balancer, internet gateway, all the services that our team provides. Now, let me talk about our products in details, but given the time constraints, I'm going to just give you the overview, and there's a lot of links for the presentations. If you are interested in them, please click those links and then take a look at what we have done. So what you're seeing is a closed network controller that we have been developing. Our private cloud is built on closed network controller. Closed network. And then we need a tool to control closed network. And then we do provide that tool. All the resources managed on Kubernetes and all the cross switches information is stored in etcd. Agent that is deployed at each switch will watch etcd and then pull the change that is needed and then do the configuration on the needed switch. Next, load balancer as a service. We do develop proprietary load balancer as a service. For example, L4 LB, we are using HTTP, L7 LB. This is a proxy server. We are running it on Kubernetes using HTTP proxy. Next, DNS as a service. There are two portions, DNS or server and then DNS cache server. Our team does provide both of them. Next, Internet Gateway. This is a NAT gateway service that you're going to be needing to access Internet. Again, this is on Kubernetes, and NAT server is provided in VM as an FA, but the agent that's running there We'll get the information from SDK, from Kubernetes. And then for this NAT server routing configuration, or the information will be configured, and NAT solution will be provided to each server or a user. Now, looking at private network, this is more like a AWS VPC. We can create many overlay network within line. We have customized OpenStack Neutron currently, and NFV service is developed on Kubernetes operator. So that is what net development team does develop and provide. Now, let's take a look at our team's architecture as well as how we actually work from day to day. Depending on the product that we work on, we assign a product owner. So as a product owner, you're going to be responsible for the product you assigned. In addition to it, say for a mid to long term or short term, you have to set a goal, and then there is a task force that we have to set up. And task force team has 2 team members, and task force teams will be working on development for 2 weeks straight. So you are not going to be required to attend any meetings. You're not going to receive any notification. If you're task force members, you're going to be doing development for 2 weeks. And then other members will be doing common work, such as an operation tasks and whatnot within the sprint. This slide shows the typical engineer work days. I mean, I don't work like this because I do have quite a lot of meetings that I have to attend, but I just wanted to show you how my team engineer does work typically. So every day you are going to attend a daily meeting, and then there are also a weekly meeting. And in basic, we are going to have the engineers focus on development, but say CS, customer support, time is allocated. We do provide NAT service and load balancer, and users use them, and then when there are issues with them, or if users do run into the issues, we get in touch with the user and communicate during CS hours. And when you look at a schedule on Friday, given that everybody's working on these discretionary working hours, there's no meeting on Friday. So if you get your development done early, you have more flexibility. And again, you can decide what time you start working and what time you end working. So there's quite a lot of flexibility in our team. Now, regarding the ideal candidate profile, even though our team is called a network team, network skills are not required. We are looking for software engineering skills, especially architect design capabilities are desired. And you're going to be working as a team, but we want a candidate who can work independently. And most of our service is running on top of Kubernetes, so the skills on Kubernetes. And given that many do speak English in our team, being able to communicate in English is desired. Now, I just wanted to tell you what type of benefits that you will get by being part of that dev team. Well, you get to develop and operate with Line's huge traffic, and you get to study and learn to develop in a huge cloud infrastructure. And given that line is advanced when it comes to SDN and NFV, you get to experience state-of-the-art technologies when it comes to SDN and NFV. And you get to work with professional software engineer infrastructure. Before I close, here are the open positions that our team does offer. So with that, I'd like to close my presentation. Now we are going to be welcoming Yamada-san. He's going to talk about Verda reliability engineering. This is Yamada from VRE. Let me share my screen. Once again, I'm Yamada from VRE team. VRE team does take care of SRE within Verda. I am going to talk about more details. As Ichihara-san has shared this data, Line Private Cloud Verda has this much instance and physical servers. So we are responsible for reliability of all these machines. Now, what is the specific roles given to VRE? Well, we will continue to improve reliability on Verda, and we want to help our application developer users, and we want to help Verda service developer by improving the reliability of Verda. There are two responsibilities given to VRE team. One is platform-wide solution. We need to achieve operational efficiency and automation. And the other team is infrastructure resource management. So this team is responsible for building and managing and operating and automating Verda's physical infrastructure. Let's take a look at platform-wide solution. Regarding specific roles, we do provide standardization as well as the implementation of monitoring and observability. And when it comes to daily operation, we try to develop standard automation tools that could be used for the entire Verda, and we also try to come up with initiatives to improve Verda's UX. The RE team does not have a specific product to provide to the users, but this is how we try to provide our values. Now, let's take a look at the specific projects that we have done recently, done by platform-wide solution. One of the examples is matrix storage. I think you have heard Prometheus. This is a server's matrix. Servers and memories consumption, disks consumption, network traffic related matrix data needs to be stored in a consolidated manner and then displayed in a consolidated manner. And we have designed and developed such a system together by working with a variety of teams and then have the teams migrate to this consolidated system. And we are using alert. If there is an issue with the matrix, alert is going to be issued, and you will get an alert if you are on call on that day. Second, log, which is just as important as matrix. We wanted to consolidate the place to store log. We do have a Elasticsearch and then HDFS platform, but based on that, we had to come up with capacity planning and operational efficiencies and what's the best way to do the search for the logs. So we did some validation on that. We designed the document website for the users because in the past all the informations were available on wiki, but we decided to have it in a consolidated way, in a consolidated place. And we also developed chat box, more like a Slack bot. Let me talk about what infrastructure resource management does. Given that we work on the physical servers and we do have a 7,600 hypervisors, which is quite huge, so we have to manage them. And we try to standardize the specifications and we try to do capacity planning regarding how many VMs that we can create and make sure the interoperability. So we do the monitoring for that. And then we also develop framework for capacity and load monitoring. Second, we are using CentOS and Loki Linux. And in order to implement them in Verda, we develop the script. And then if there is an issue with the OS layer, we do the troubleshooting. And if there is a request from the user regarding a desired feature, we try to do the consulting. And Verda itself is one of the in-house systems, but there's so many other systems that are being used at line. So we have to make sure that Verda does work with other systems. If the other system updates, and Verda also have to make sure that it could still continue to support and talk to such a system. So we try to improve reliability on that as well. Continuing on with the an example of the project done by infrastructure resource management, as Ichihara-san has introduced, we have multi-availability zone implementation. Because in the past, we did have quite a lot of regions, but we didn't have a multi-AZ situation in Tokyo. But after implementing multi-AZ, we had to do the server's inventory management as well as efficient sourcing of the servers, and the complexity of it has gotten much higher. And this was the first time for Verda user to use a lot of data centers, so there are some troubles, and we had to do troubleshooting for that. And then if we understood the root cause of it, then we came up with the solution by providing some consulting. Second, establish hypervisor lifecycle. It's been only 5 years since the Verda has been rolled out, and I think the oldest hypervisor maintenance is actually about to end, and we have to replace them. But in the past, there was no standardized flow, so we had to develop and execute standard flow for replacing old hypervisor. Regarding desired candidate for VRE, again, our team does not provide a product. So we don't ask our teams to develop quite a lot, but we have to automate and we have to achieve operational efficiencies. In order to support many servers, programming is going to be required. Therefore, basic programming capabilities is needed. And our team is all about troubleshooting. So if you are interested in troubleshooting, good at it, or if you can lead sort of organization level issues and then lead it to the solution, that will be a good fit for you. We have 2 open positions, and I look forward to getting submissions from you. So with this, I am going to close my part, and I am going to give the microphone back to Tanabe-san. Thank you, Yamada-san. We are going to take a break. We are going to take a 10-minute break. We are going to come back at 7:51. So please come back by 7:51.
はい。それではお時間になりましたので再開したいと思います。
It's 7:51. We are going to resume the workshop. We are going to have presentation by Roger-san on Verda Platform Development Team 1.
Hi everyone, this is Roger from the Verda Platform Team I. Okay, sounds good. So yes, today I'm gonna be talking about the Verda Platform Development Team I. So before I jump into the team introduction, I would like to give a little bit background about myself. So I'm a software engineer at Verda Platform Development Team I. Before I joined Line, I was actually a compiler engineer in the R&D department of a hardware company in Canada. So my expertise or technical background was actually a little bit different than what I'm doing right now. And this year in April, I joined Line as a cloud infrastructure software engineer. As you can see here, my journey with Line is not very long. I have been here for only around 6 months, but I hope I can give you sort of fresh idea of what it is like from a perspective of someone new. Okay, so platform I team, or we are also known as the OpenStack team. We currently have 7 members from all over the world, different countries, different backgrounds. We use English as the primary language. And our team is currently based in Tokyo, Japan. We also work with different teams across the world, mainly Japan, Korea, Vietnam. From my personal experience, I really think our team have a positive work environment, transparent, open communications, good work-life balance. We barely have any chance to do on-call duties. And everyone here on our team is super supportive and friendly. I remember when I joined the team, I was from different countries with different technical backgrounds, but I never felt overwhelming. It's because people here are very willing to provide help. Also recently, we chose 5 things as our top team values: professionalism, responsibilities, positivities, health, and trust. And here is the organization structures. The blue box is where we are at the platform I team. So you can see as a part of ITSC, we work closely with network team, VRE team, platform K team, and the QA teams. So what do we do? On a very high level, our team is responsible for building and operating a platform to connect applications and infrastructure seamlessly using software techniques and methods. In particular, we are focusing on OpenStack. That's why our team is also known as the OpenStack team. As you might know, so OpenStack is the open source cloud computing infrastructure software project, and is also one of the most active open source project in the communities. Since our private platform, Verda, is built on top of OpenStack with our own customizations, our job is to design, develop, the Verda platform based on OpenStack for our internal requirements. Also, we resolve operational issues on multiple large-scale OpenStack clusters. Of course, in addition to OpenStack, we also, deal with other software components, including like libvirt, Kubernetes, and work with other teams. As for the operational tasks, we are also responsible for managing VM, PM, bare meter servers. Challenges and future plans. So I would like to talk about like 2 points regarding our challenge and the future plans. First one is stability. Although our Verda platform has been running for years, it has been very mature, but we do face occasional outages or errors from time to time because things cannot be perfect, right? In fact, we do receive a great number of user-reported errors regularly. This could be from like human errors, hardware replacement, or some corner cases bugs. So since it's not a perfect, one of our job is to minimize the risk of any failures and outages. And second thing is the scalabilities. As you might heard from Ichihara-san, we currently have over 7,000 hypervisors and over like 45,000 bare metal servers. But in the future, we are gonna have more. Will support a super large scale OpenStack cluster, like covering different regions in the future. That means we need to support more hypervisors, more bare metal servers, and more, for example, OpenStack processes. So in order to do that, we need to implement and design a lot of mechanisms and the software components. To give you just to explain what exactly we're doing, I want to give an example. This is one of our latest project, which is to implement a new driver for RPC communication. So the background is that RabbitMQ is the implementation for RPC communications in OpenStack, and the OpenStack community doesn't really have any motivations to replace RabbitMQ for whatever reasons. But for our purpose, since our Verda platform needs to support a super large scale OpenStack clusters, and the maintenance cost of using RabbitMQ is super high because the RabbitMQ drivers mechanism is pretty complicated, and it's difficult to support, especially in a more scaled up environment. And as for our platform team, we need to manage RabbitMQ clusters as well as OpenStack clusters. And this is very time consuming, especially in a situation of outages. So, to overcome this kind of situations, our team come up with an idea of, implementing a new RPC communication drivers in OpenStack using different protocols or messaging brokers. Unfortunately, I cannot expose any detail here, but in the future, we also have a plan to upstream to the community if everything works good. So we not only apply the open source project from the community, we also contribute to the open source community. And finally, you might wonder what software frameworks or software tools we use on our daily basis. I listed a few of them. Since, as I mentioned, our main focus is OpenStack, which is written in Python. You are gonna mostly be dealing with OpenStack and writing code in Python. In addition to that, you might also experience stuff like OpenAPI, Swagger, Console, RabbitMQ, Redis, as well as there's some other infrastructure level tools like Docker, Kubernetes. I'm not saying that on our team we need to master all of these software components, but if you are familiar with these components, your life is gonna be a lot easier, I would say. And that's it from my side, and thank you everyone for listening.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Chung from the product management team. I was originally supposed to go last for this presentation, but I'll be taking over first. I'm going to very briefly explain some of the main responsibilities for our team, the product management team. Yes. So the main mission of the Verda product management team is to plan and design cloud products for a great user experience for line developers. Our team is interested in providing the best product experience for our users, which is internal line developers in the company. And some of our main responsibilities, the very core responsibility includes planning new products. These products include infrastructure as a service and product as a service products. And planning, what I mean by planning is whenever there's a need for a new product from our users, then it's up to the product management team to go and look at other cloud service products and kind of benchmark some features. We talk to users, we get their feedback, we understand their needs, and we try to apply those as a feature set so that our developers can look at this feature set and go on to develop this new product. And following on from that, we also do product specification management, which means we try to keep up with our Verda product specifications. And whenever there's a new change or whenever there's a request for new features, then we try to keep the product specification up to date to the best of our ability. And the third responsibility for the product management team is designing good UI UX. Our team in particular has a very high interest in providing a great user interface to users. And our users in particular also has a great need for a good user interface. It's one of our most requested features actually. So yeah, we put a lot of focus on designing good UI UX. The fourth main responsibility is applying user feedback. And yes, whenever we plan products or manage specifications or design user interfaces, it all stems from user feedback. And it becomes the biggest reason for creating new features or planning new products. It all stems from user feedback. And last but not least is communication with dev and design teams. And this refers to Verda product development and Verda product design teams. Product management involves a lot of communication. And our dev and design teams, as you guys have heard in before presentations, they're scattered across Japan, Korea, some in Vietnam as well. So yeah, there's a lot of communication involved in the product management team. And I want to cover the product planning process, which was the first core responsibility that I mentioned. And this involves planning a new product or planning a new major feature or release in Verda. And whenever Verda plans to release a new product or feature, then we first go into the research phase. And that involves us benchmarking, AWS or Azure or Google or some of these major cloud-related softwares, and we do benchmarking, we do trend analysis about in order to get features that the users want. The next phase would be to taking the results of the research phase and drafting a product requirement document. And this document will be the single source of truth, if you will, where developers and designers and QA teams can refer to this document as the product development lifecycle progresses. And this particular step in the entire process takes the most time, takes the most investment, but I think it's the most rewarding process from this entire life cycle. And finally would be planning and designing UI UX. And yeah, as I've mentioned before, our users, they some of their biggest needs and some of their biggest requests is related to a good user interface. So when we do research and when we do draft the product requirement document, we always have to think about planning and designing a user interface beforehand, so that when the dev team does start building the product, and they can also consider a great UI UX as well. Some of our other tasks, aside from planning new products, includes market research and trend analysis. And this task involves, going over some new cloud trends. Cloud computing as a whole is progressing very quickly, and there's always new features and new technologies being introduced from leaders like AWS and so on and so forth. Our users inside Line will also stays on top of these new trends and technologies. So yeah, we try to stay on top of it and try to apply what we can to our products. Next would be to communicate with users. And we have some very helpful users that are willing to share their opinions about Verda and on how to improve Verda. And we take those suggestions very seriously, and we try to apply their feedback to the best of our ability. Next would be focusing on UI UX. Our team, Verda product management team, is comparatively new. It hasn't been a very long time since we've been formed. So we're trying to focus on standardizing UI UX components. That provides a very consistent user experience to users, which is very helpful. Next would be a feature improvement documents, which is different from a product requirement documentation, in which we try to draft up documents for to add new features to existing products. And last but not least would be project management, which is an infrequent task, but oftentimes when there's a product that requires a lot of co-working between very many teams, then the product management team member will step up as a project manager. So I guess the ideal candidate for the product management team would be, if you have experience managing cloud-related products or cloud-related technologies like OpenStack or Kubernetes. And since our team is involved with so much communication, then being able to speak English and Japanese would be a very big plus. So yeah, if you have those qualifications, then please apply. Yeah, thank you very much. That concludes my part. Chris, are you ready for the presentation?
Yes, I think I've got that sorted now. Okay. My name is Chris Pickel. I am a senior software engineer at Line in the Verda department, and I've been working here at the Line Kyoto office for almost 4 years now. When I introduce myself in Japan, I always ask people to remember this about my name. Pickel de wa naku Pickel desu. I'm a pickle, not a pickle. And so within Verda, I work on the Verda Kubernetes service team, VKS team. I think we're the most international team within Verda. We have 9 members across 3 offices, Tokyo, Kyoto, and Seoul. And we have members with 6 different nationalities, American, British, Russian, Indian, Korean, and of course, Japanese. That also means we have native speakers of American, British, and Indian English. We build Kubernetes clusters. So first I want to briefly talk about what Kubernetes is and why you might want to use it. So these are my 4 highlights. First, scheduling. If you have a collection of machines, you don't need to manually assign servers to particular machines. You create the nodes and you create the server, and Kubernetes figures out where to schedule your workload based on the availability of resources. Second, scaling. When you want more resources, you change the number of replicas and Kubernetes figures out how to add more servers for you and schedules them. Third, rollouts. When you want to update your server, Kubernetes will perform a rolling restart of all your servers and ensure that there are a minimum number of available replicas, scheduling and scaling up and down as necessary. And finally, routing. Even as scheduling, scaling, and rollouts are happening, Kubernetes routes incoming traffic to your servers to keep your service up. And if that was all that Kubernetes did, it would already be useful. But there's a lot more that it can do, and I'll talk about some of those specifics later. We follow a dedicated cluster per team model. That means that any line developer that wants to use Kubernetes gets their own cluster. They get full control, and they can install any additional infrastructure or middleware that they want to. The alternative to dedicated clusters is multi-tenancy, where multiple teams share a single cluster. That's more efficient from a resource usage standpoint, but it's harder to satisfy teams because different teams want different software and features. We're adding right now Kubernetes 124 support, and some users want to use it right away. Some users want to wait a little while before upgrading, and because there's a cluster per team, we can satisfy both groups. VKS offers clusters in 5 different zones, and currently we support over 800 clusters. About 15% of Verda's VMs, that's over 12,000, are currently used as VKS nodes. So we're already a non-trivial fraction of Verda, but there's still a lot of room to grow. Okay, the great thing about Kubernetes is that it works with all kinds of infrastructure. The bad thing is that its batteries not included. By that, I mean, it doesn't come out of the box ready to run. Before you can use it, you need to source machines, networking, storage, and all sorts of other infrastructure. VKS is part of Verda, the larger Verda organization. So our solution is to use Verda for everything. We work together with other teams in Verda to source the cloud infrastructure we need to build fully featured Kubernetes clusters. For computing resources, we work with the Verda OpenStack team. For networking, we work with the Verda NetDev team. For storage, we work with the Verda storage team in Korea. And for observability, we work with other line teams outside the Verda department. Our basic computing needs are for machines to use as Kubernetes nodes. And for that, we mostly use OpenStack VMs. We also support physical machines and machines with GPUs for machine learning workloads, but currently we don't support automated provisioning of those other kinds of machines. We also manage our own OpenStack images and flavors in order to make efficient use of resources. The basic networking needs of Kubernetes clusters are satisfied by a network plugin such as Flannel or Calico, and we support both of those. For incoming traffic, NetDev team developed load balancers, and we developed a Kubernetes controller in Go to integrate with it. And for outgoing traffic, NetDev team built Internet Gateway, and so we built, again, a controller in Go to integrate with that. In the future, we'll also support a Ingress implementation that they're currently developing. For storage, we support read-write once persistent volumes with the Verda storage team's block storage service, and read-write many with their shared file storage. Both of these use public open source controllers. For observability, the 3 pillars are metrics, logs, and tracing. So for metrics, we run a collection of Prometheus instances, and those feed into line shared metric storage. For logs, we run a collection of Fluentd collectors, and these feed into line shared log storage. Tracing, we don't support yet, though we're looking at it. The three main challenges we have right now are new versions, old versions, and on-call. So about new versions, we started building VKS a few years ago on top of Rancher. And this was great at the time because we were able to get off the ground quickly and build the service. However, it's not a perfect match for our needs. There are a bunch of features that Rancher has that we don't need, and there are also lots of features that we need that Rancher doesn't have. On the other side, Kubernetes keeps evolving and releasing new versions. There was recently a big change, you might have heard about it, where Kubernetes dropped support for Docker shim. We were using an older Rancher version that doesn't support that. Meanwhile, there's now a standard way to manage the cluster lifecycle called Cluster API. So with this coming, we needed to decide, do we invest more effort in upgrading Rancher, or do we rebuild on top of Cluster API? And we decided on the latter. So that's a big change, but it'll leave us more robust in the long term. On the other side, there's older versions. When we first launched, we supported Kubernetes 1.13. Now we support 1.24. And that's a very wide range of versions. We don't really want to support all those different versions simultaneously, but it's difficult to get users to spend the effort to upgrade their clusters. And it's difficult for us to upgrade users' clusters for them, both because it would be a lot of work for us and also because there's this possibility that we might break a user cluster by upgrading. And lastly, on-call. We have a 24/7 on-call rotation. And fortunately, we rarely get pages outside of work hours, but it is one of our duties on the team, and I want to come clean about that. Sometimes during business hours, we need to spend a lot of effort because there's not enough automation. Though I think pretty much every team everywhere will tell you they don't have enough automation. So in the future, our biggest focus in the short term is going to be that cluster API migration. Beyond that, we want to keep building more integrations and providing more features to our users and get more users using our services. Thanks. That's all from the VKS team. So Tanabe-san, back to you.
クリスさん、ありがとうございました。それでは、
Thank you, Chris-san. We are going to take another break. We are going to resume at 8:30. So let's take a 10-minute break. Thank you.
はい。それでは、お時間になりましたの
Okay,
で、
it's 8:30. We are going to resume the session. In the next session, I am going to talk about open positions as well as screening process. Before I start my presentation, we are going to have a Q&A at the end of my presentation. So if you have any questions or any clarities that you might need, please submit it using Q&A session. You can submit your question in either English or Japanese. So with that, I am going to talk about open positions as well as the selection process. So here are the 8 open positions. They are also posted on Compass. At the end of the event, we will be sending you an email with this link again. So I hope you take a look and consider. So here's the selection process. We will receive your application. We are going to screen your document, and then depending on the position you apply, you might have to work on the subject that's given to you. And then once you pass this test of subject, then you are going to have a few interviews, and all the interviews will be conducted online. Now, let me show you how to apply for open positions. After this event, we will be sending you an email with more details regarding how to apply for open positions. And there will be a link included in email allowing you to apply for open positions. And we are also accepting a request for a casual interview. If you are still unsure of applying, if you just want to know more about the positions, you can request for having a casual interview. If we have a lot of requests, then we will just select a few and then set up a casual interview with our employees. Lastly, we would like you to fill out the survey. It will be very helpful to get your feedback so that we can continue to improve the future events. So your cooperation for filling out the survey is appreciated. So that is all from me. Let's move on to the Q&A session. Can we welcome back all the speakers? Thank you. Okay, so we have received a question. So let's start with that. I know it really depends, but I would like to know which primary language you use when you communicate within the team, because I don't speak English well. I know some of you have touched upon it, but why don't we have our speakers answer this question? Maybe starting with Chihara-san. So in my slide, I talked about the primary language that's used for each team, right? Network team does use English and Japanese. Originally, we were only speaking Japanese, but back in July this year, we have hired an engineer who's from France. So when it comes to a daily meeting, we use English, but there are some members who don't speak English well. So when it comes to weekly meeting, we do use an interpreter, and then that way you can speak in Japanese or English, but depending on some products, we only have a Japanese speaker. And then for that meeting, you can speak Japanese, but if it's just too difficult to speak in English, then we allow the team members to speak Japanese and they try to understand. Okay. What about Yamada-san? At VRA team, we use Japanese only. We have 4 members. We all speak Japanese, but when we communicate with other team members, especially when it comes to technical document or chat and exchange, you have to be able to read and write in English. I mean, you can use machine translation. As for the meetings, just like Ichihara-san, we do get some help from the interpreters. That way, we can talk to the Korean team members and then English team members via interpreter. Thank you. Roja-san?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, our team is using English as a primary language, right? But in fact, none of us is a native English speaker, including myself. So my understanding is that as long as you can communicate, as long as you can explain your idea clearly and make people understand, especially when it comes to technical discussions, you are okay. You don't have to be necessarily fluent in English. But you know, the point is that you need to be able to communicate.
Thank you. Jinho-san? Jinho-san?
Yes, yeah, it's the same for the product management team as well. Our primary language right now is Korean. because all of our members are Korean, but we're slowly transitioning to trying to be a more English focused team. And all of our documents are written in English and all of our communication is trying to be done in English. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. Chris-san?
はい、VTS チームは基本的英語ですね。9人の中には
do speak English primarily. Out of 6 team members, 2 do speak Japanese, but if you don't speak language at all, it will be rather difficult to communicate. Got it. But you are fluent in Japanese, by the way. Anyway, so let's move on to the next question that we have received.
Development task to get rid of the launcher ですかね。
This one I'll answer in English because the technical stuff we definitely rely on English for. So yes, we're working on right now we're working on the addition of cluster API as the future thing to do. We haven't really discussed yet the flip side of that, which is getting rid of Rancher. We first need to build the new thing, and then we can start thinking about how to migrate people over and how to get rid of Rancher. But right now, the priority is on building cluster API.
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
今いただいている Q&A には回答
So I think we were able to answer all the questions that we have received in Q&A, but we did have some questions prior to this event, so why don't we answer them? CCOE, Cloud Center of Excellence. Do we have a mechanism that allows you to work on a variety of cloud projects? Anybody can answer that? What I think is that when it comes to providing a support to the users, when it comes to using cloud across the organization, I think VPN team is the one that can answer that question. And then a VPN team is equivalent to CCOE. There's another question that we have received prior to the event. What type of technical areas and skills are preferred? So again, we're going to have you ask Chris-san.
クリスさんのチームですね。どんな技術分野
Chris-san, what type of technical expertise and skills that you prefer to have for a team member?
So from the programming language perspective, most of our work is in Go because Kubernetes is Go and it's easiest to write Kubernetes controllers in Go. And basically, we go along with the ecosystem. We also write some Python from time to time as sort of automation scripts. So those are the main programming languages. Then beyond that, like we find it useful if people are good at troubleshooting. Obviously, familiarity with Kubernetes is helpful, though I think not necessarily critical. Many of the members of the team didn't use Kubernetes very much before they joined the team, but being good at learning new things is important, obviously. And let's see, anything else? I mean, communication is also important because we're, as I said, distributed between 3 locations, and so we're mostly communicating on Slack and Zoom, and so that those are the main things.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. Next, Jinho-san, any technical skills and expertise that you desire in the candidate?
I guess something that we're looking for is someone who has experience with the UI design, and a lot of people, I guess, don't really have much expertise with doing product management for cloud products in general. So I guess if any experience related to that or UI design would be very much preferred in our team.
ありがとうございます。続きまして、ロジャー
Thank
さんいかが
you. Roger-san.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, our team mainly focus on OpenStack. So if you have any experience in OpenStack or cloud computing related knowledges, that will be a big plus. With that being said, I also mentioned I was a compiler engineer before I joined Nine. So if you are a quick learner and be good at learning things, or you have like very good basic software development or computer science knowledge, it's also good.
ありがとうございます。
Thank
山
you.
田さんのチームいかが
Yamada-san.
はい、プログラミング言語という観点だと、
From the standpoint of programming language, Python, Go
私たちのチームは
are needed, and we also do work on JavaScript quite a lot. And
業務の中のすべてというわけではなくて、
development is not all we do. We have to build and then operate and manage servers. So if you have a knowledge regarding server monitoring, alert, and the mechanism of it, we welcome a candidate like that.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
いかがでしょうか
Chara-san,
はい、プログラミング言語という意味では、やはり
again, from the standpoint of programming language, Go and Python are desired, given that we use them quite a lot regarding desired skills. As I have showed on my slide, if you are good at Kubernetes, that's going to be really important. Next, given that we're talking about network development team, if you have a knowledge with network development or you have done designing architecture for network, that will be a big plus. But the most important thing is that we develop in a team, we communicate within the team. So if you have that experience, then that's actually more valuable.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
一旦切りがいいので、ここで
Okay, so we are going to take another break. We are going to have, second Q&A session right after the break. So if you have any questions, follow-up questions, or any other new questions, please post questions on Q&A. Thank you. So why don't we take a 10-minute break?
はい、それではお時間になりましたので、
Okay, why don't we restart the program?
ご登壇者の皆さんまた出てきていただけます
All the
でしょうか
speakers, please come back again.
ちょっと Q&A 機能に質問は来ていなかったので、
We did not receive any questions on Q&A,
あとは、よく説明会とかで質問いただく内容に
but we do have
関してご回答いただければなというふうに
FAQs
思い
that
ます
we usually get during casual interviews. First,
チームミーティングの量はどれくらいですか
how many team meetings are being held? How often do you
市原さんいかがですか
host team meetings? Ichihara-san? As I said, we do a sprint within the team, so there's about a half an hour daily meeting. And in addition, we do have 1 hour weekly meeting just so that everybody's going to be on the same page. And depending on members, they might have 1 or 2 more additional meetings, but that's
あ
it.
りがとうございます
Thank you.
山田さんいかがですか
Yamada-san?
はい、VRE チームはです
え
ね、
VRE team,
メンバー一人一人が、プロジェクトを持っていて、
each member is assigned a project, and they do have stakeholders outside of the team. So there is a weekly or bi-weekly meeting depending on a project. In addition, we do have a daily meeting, half an hour every day, so that we can share the status of the project we are working on to see if we can help other team members. Thank you. Roja-san?
Yes. So our team is also like what Ichihara-san mentioned. We have a daily Scrum meetings and also bi-weekly sprint meetings. And also there will be some on-demand meetings, depends on what's going on, because sometimes, for example, like critical outage happens. But most likely, or for most of time, 1 or 2 meetings a day is expected.
Thank you. Jinho-san?
Yeah, the product management team has one daily meeting, and depending on each product manager and the products that they're responsible for, they might have two, maybe 3 more meetings each day. But yeah, product management team involves a lot of team meetings. It's kind of different atmosphere. So yeah, that's just one of the quirks of the product management team.
Thank you. Chris-san?
So for us, we, as many of the other teams, we have a daily meeting that, depending on how much people have to say, that could be done in 10 minutes or 40 minutes. Then there's a weekly meeting on Fridays, which is maybe half an hour to an hour or so. And then there's depending on what projects people are working on, there might be another meeting or 2 during the week, but that would be the general outline.
Thank you. How many code commits do you have as a team? So Chris-san, would you answer that?
The number of commits, that's not something I think I could say offhand. It would be probably, I don't know, 3 per member per week or something in PRs. I'm not sure.
Thank you. Jinho-san?
The product management team isn't the developer team, so we don't do any code commits.
Thank you. Roja-san?
Yes, actually it depends, and it's hard to put it into numbers, but there are times we do like 10 PRs within 3 days or 1 day even, but there's times that we don't commit a single PR within a week. It really depends on the situation and the project we're working on.
Thank you. Yamada-san? VR team? We don't have a product, so we don't have a commit to the code instead, and we have to write a script to automate the operation. So that's bulk of our tasks. I am looking at GitHub activity. There's about 3, I think, per week. Thank you. Ichihara-san? Well, just like any others, it really depends on the project. For example, if you are working on a new feature development, you're gonna have to have a code commit. So we try to have the team focus on the code development as much as possible. Thank you. So I guess it really depends on the team. Okay. Next FAQs. What is the status of coming to the office or working from home? Like ratio? How often do you come to the office, work at home? Ichihara-san? I think most members in Verda work from home. it's rare that you come to the office. There is a lot of a new graduate who joined my team and then they want to go to the office. So they go to the office once every 2 weeks, but it's not required. It's just that the office is nice and you can have lunch, so they go there. But in basic, everybody works from home, and then some members are based in Hokkaido. So again, you got quite a lot of flexibility. Thank you. I see. Yes. So each member gets to decide where to work them. I see. I guess everybody is pretty much the same, right?
I
Okay.
think maybe I'm in the office every day, but that's because I work in the Kyoto office, and so the situation is a little different from Tokyo. But I'm not. I don't know of anyone else that comes into the office every day in Verda.
なるほど。そういった方もいる。
I see. Okay. Well, thank you.
ちょっとオフィスによって雰囲気も違ったりとか、
Working in the office is quite different as well. So
ありがとうございます。
thank you.
そしたら次の質問またよくある
Next
質問に行きたいと思うんですけれども、
FAQs.
開発環境はどのように整備されているでしょうか。
How organized is the development environment is? What about source code, CI/CD tools? How is the in-house development environment organized? I'm going to take that question. Well, when it comes to code management, we use GitHub Enterprise. When it comes to issue management, we do use Jira on Confluence to do the ticket management. For CI/CD, there's a lot of solutions, and most of these CI/CD solutions that you have available at Line, you get to pick and choose. Whether it's Jenkins or Argo CD, you really get to select and choose. That's all.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
時間の関係上、次
Okay,
最後に
time is running out, so we are going to we're going to answer the last question, FAQs. How much time do you spend on your working hours for operational tasks? It means how much do you get to focus on engineering? Can anybody take that question? Anybody? Chris, do you want to take that?
Oh, I was going to suggest that Roger take it as the non-manager here, because I don't think anyone wants to hear from the managers about how much time we spend writing code.
Sounds good. Yeah, so let me answer that question. From our team, it also depends on situation because we take turns to, we have a dedicated week for someone to handle the operational tasks, but that's not every week, probably once every 5 weeks. So during that dedicated week, you probably will be mostly handling those operational tasks, but other than that, you'll be fully focused on the engineering stuff.
Thank you. Some of the systems that we do provide is that each department does have a administrative assistant. So when it comes to paperwork or the support you need, you can rely on the administrative staff member. So with this, we are going to close Q&A. I hope you got to learn quite a lot about the open positions that Line offers, as well as what Verda is. So we look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you apply for the open positions or submit a request for a casual interview. Thank you very much for listening.